couple of days ago that you're not interested in getting to know anyone else. Am I right or am I wrong?
No,
did you not say? I'm not trying to be rude because I'm not trying to be rude. I'm saying no.
Okay. No, stop. Speak.
You said, or did you not say,
This may be the last review that I do of Little Black Book. Yes, I'm sick and tired of the show. Not because the show isn't entertaining, but just because I feel that principle, what they do to black people, I'm really not about it. But we'll get into that. So make sure you like, share, subscribe if you're new to the channel. For those of you who are returnees, you ain't got the minerals, baby. Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you lean? Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Why do I always do that? Anyway, listen, we're going to be talking about obviously what happened on Love Island previously. It's going to be less of a psychology video and more of a case on talking on certain things that have happened. I want to just start off by saying it is very easy. I don't even say very easy. It's always interesting when I see systematic racism. When I say that, I say it with my full-hearted chest. Being an individual that's dark-skinned black, okay, I can't get away from being black. It's simply as it is. Now, I've experienced what I call systematic racism, and I've experienced what I call the narrative that white people often tarnish black people with, and even they're not aware that they perpetrate that form of racist, or should we say prejudicial thinking in a sense. So for instance, you're in an office, right? You got annoyed about something and you decided to obviously open your mouth to say, listen, I'm annoyed about it, and instantly like, calm down, you don't have to get so stressed. Why are you being so tense for? Why are you being so aggressive? And that word aggressive comes off. And I remember a situation when I was in work, and I knew already, that the way the situation happened, I knew it was going to come to a point of me being aggressive. I just knew that I knew they were going to try to use that characteristic, or use that what do we call it, formulation of an idea to try and coax me into a certain corner. And because I was aware of that, I made sure, because I know my body language, I know how I act, I know how to perpetrate when I'm on the offense and when I'm on the defense. I intentionally sat back, relaxed, and just kept myself cool, right? I didn't come forward. I just sat back and let it cool. And I had a discussion about the situation. I said, listen, I'm not accepting that, and I don't feel that's correct. As soon as I did that, the person was like, oh, I feel like you're being aggressive. And I said, do you know what? At that conjuncture, meeting done.
So I'm not being funny, but can we not whisper? It's a bit unfair, like the tensions are all a bit high in here.
I know tensions are high, but obviously I want to say something to one person.
Yeah, but it's just a bit, it just makes it for everyone feel a bit shit.
Tommy?
So that's it, I'm going home. I'm not taking that. And the reason why is because white people seem to want to perpetrate the stereotype that black people are overtly aggressive, which leads back to us being about monkeys and gorillas and animalistic mandingo slave times, yeah? And that thought process, unfortunately, has been passed down from generation to generation, systematically, subtly, through the ideas and the way they perpetrate black people, especially in the media. So, for instance, I remember I went out clubbing one time, yeah? And I saw white people bashing other white people's heads into windows, yeah? And the rave didn't get locked off. But when I went to a rave and I saw black people punching each other, that rave got locked off. And I started to realise, okay, so when white people do certain things, they get away with it, and it's never said as this particular action. When black people do it, we're demonised. And the reason why is because systematically we are the bottom of the food chain. Now, if you're white and you're listening to this, it's probably hurting you. The same way I also understand as a male, when it comes to females, that females are at the bottom of the food chain compared to males. There's no equal treatment there. I totally understand my privilege. Do you understand? And because I understand my privilege, the way I operate with females is I try to be as much understanding as I can and not perpetrate the stereotypes. Boom. Saying that, let's talk about what happened at Love Island. Before I come on to the Yewande situation and the whole craziness of the ex-islanders as well, I want to start with the Maura and the Tom situation. Now, because I also understand the male privilege and the way that men have dominated the conversation when it comes to sex and the way they utilize it against females, I understand where Maura's coming from.
I feel like that was miscommunication. I don't know what...
What do you mean miscommunication? You said what you said.
No, they asked me.
Yes, you did. Wait now, you said it. And now what, you're saying you didn't?
I repeated what they asked me. I said I'd be interested to see if she's all mouth.
Yeah, you said it, Tom.
That's not
Yes,
it.
you said it, making me feel like a piece of shit.
I'm not...
Here's my thing. Sexual liberation, be free. But keep the damn same energy. First of all, Maura, was trying to lips Tommy earlier on. She should have been kicked out of the villa straight away. There's no reason for her to be in that villa in the first place, because once she tried to kiss Tommy and Tommy didn't want it, this was overtly stepping over the line. He dodged once, he dodged twice, that was it. Let it go, Maura. She didn't.
On the cheek. Oh.
Yeah,
Cool. I also understand as well that, you know what, even though I should say keep the same energy, I actually kind of understand that as Tommy, just saying stereotypically, he's a big guy. He could easily have pushed her off if he needed to, right? He could have easily got her off and said, listen, back off. But he kind of, I think he kind of enjoyed a little bit of tussle, a little bit of game, so I let it be. Now, here's my problem with Maura. My problem is this. I don't dispute what Tom said to her was rude and disrespectful, and he should have just lied. Let's be real. Here's my thing though. Keep the same bloody energy.
So she can play up and she can run a mouth like that, but he can't have a bit of a fashion about it. That's a load of bullshit.
He shouldn't have said what he said because it's acting big in front of the people.
Yeah, that's it.
I just can't get it out of my head. How do you cut that?
So at the end of the day, she can't. It's a double standard, isn't it? She can't give it all big and then not be able to take a little bit of banter like that. I know I shouldn't have said it, but
She says stuff loud in front of the whole group.
And why do I say that? Before this happened, there were several incidents of Maura behaving inappropriately. And I'm not talking about Tommy's situation now. Now, first of all, when she was talking to Anton at a stage, she told Anton, listen, Anton, if we were outside, we'd have been fucking by now. Like, excuse my language, you'd have been effing by now, right? If a man had said it to a woman, what would he been saying? Do you get me? So, when I saw that, and I was like, okay, cool, let me let that go. Let me move on to the most important part where I say that she set a precedence of what interaction she was going to have with Tom. When you get a text coming through saying you're going to be in the hideaway, and I wish I had a video of the face that Tom actually made. This boy is scared. When she gets a text, she goes, okay, someone's going to be getting frisky. Now, I don't care if she said it directly to Tom because she chooses Tom directly after. So who else was she talking to? So already she set a precedence in terms of what she's expecting. She's already said, well, someone's going to get frisky, but have you asked him? You don't want to keep the same. You don't want to keep the same energy, people, and I don't like that. You set a precedence. I said if you put energy out there, you get energy back. When you set the precedence of saying someone's going to get frisky tonight and then choose the boy, what do you think you've planted in his head? Do you think you've planted, oh, I want to respect her, No, you've planted, we are going to have sex. Now, if he oversteps the mark and has sex when you weren't consenting, totally different ballgame. But what I'm saying to you is you've put an expectation in his mind. Anybody who's saying anything different is I'm not even going to say stupid. You are intentionally lying to try and fit a feminist narrative, and it doesn't fit even in feminism. That does not correlate with feminism. That correlates with you taking the piss and actually usurping the power that you have. There's no way anybody should be saying someone's going to get frisky and then expect not certain comments that are going to be on a sexual nature when you started on a sexual platform. Doesn't make sense. When the guy first came in, Tom, the first thing that came out of Maura's mouth was, well, the first few things that came out of Maura's mouth was setting the precedence again by saying, are you going to be sleeping in my bed?
Good answer. I'd like to train you.
Yeah, would ya?
Definitely.
Do you want to share a bed with me? I'm all on my Todd.
Yeah.
I need a cuddle.
Oh.
Don't know what any guy will be thinking when you set that precedence. Oh, I think I do. We would be expecting that there's going to be something that's going to be happening here on a sexual level because, yes, you started opening that door. You being sexually liberated and talking about sex is completely different from when you action it. We saw the desperation in how you behaved with Tommy. It's not the sex that you're talking about as a problem. It's the way you direct it, you're crude, and the way you talk about it directly to the individual. And the way that you initiate certain things and actually set up certain things. That's a problem. Again, if Tom decided to go ahead and try to have sex and she was not consenting, that's rape. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is the expectation that she plants in somebody's mind. To the point that where Tommy at one point was sitting around with the girls, with Amy, with her and some other people, and Molly, and has comfortability to ask her how many people you slept with. That's because you opened that platform. That's fine, have that conversation. But you plant an expectation in Tom's head. Hence why when the boys are saying to him, they give him a condom. Now, they haven't done it for any other girl. I don't remember them doing it for Curtis. I don't remember them giving a condom to Curtis. Why didn't they? Because Amy never put that image, that representation over. We're not talking about just the openly about sex. It's the way you talk directly to people. Cool. So now, situation, obviously, he says what he says. I think it was even set up. I don't believe that scene's even real. I feel like they set that up. But yeah, that's another story. So for me, like when I saw that, and obviously Maura's then getting vexed and angry, and this is going to lead into my point about systematic racism. The way Maura reacts towards Tom, effing and blinding, doing all of this, there is not one person on Twitter who said Maura was being aggressive, that she was being over the top. No one said that she was bitter. Nobody said anything of those negative connotations. All it was well done Maura for setting her down. When Molly was raging, nobody said she was aggressive. Nobody said that she was bitter. Nobody said any of those kind of negative connotations. Why? Because we set two different standards for black people than we do for white people. It's very, very clear. Very, very, very clear. And so, unfortunately, what we get is, you got Molly doing a mad thing for Tommy, but no one said anything. You got Maura going on a mad thing for Tom, no one said anything. And then when Yewande tries to step up, I see Fiat 500 Twitter getting onto their high horse, talking about how Yewande is bitter, she's not even that nice, she's rude, she's got no personality. And yet when Elma comes onto the TV, tells us that Yewande's got a banging personality, and the TV doesn't show the correct, she said, a right side of Yewande. I already knew that. I already told you in my last few videos. I said to you, there's no way Yewande is telling us, that Danny, needs constant reassurance, and they never show us that Danny needs constant reassurance, because it does not fit the narrative that the producers want to put ahead. Because this is part of systematic racism. It's to make black people look a certain way. That's why Cheryl's out of there. That's why Cheryl's out. Now, obviously, evidently, Kit Molly made in the midriff. So, to be honest, it's debatable there. But you know, I've seen this time and time again, and I see it on TV shows. And I see how when you put a black person in a circle amongst white people, how the value of us changes. Why? Because the information that you feed people with in the media correlates to how they see us. And so, unfortunately, what Yewande was a victim of was what the producers had shown us, which is they showed us intentionally her lack of enthusiasm, showed us a lack of personality, lack of happiness, lack of attention to Danny, that she was always, and it's like I refuse to believe that. You know what I mean? I refuse to believe that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I said that from the job, and I said actually they've set her up. They set this up so nicely. I believe so. And so for me, when I watched it, I looked at the situation at this point. Danny, the reason why we're so vexed, I think as Black Twitter especially, the reason why we are vexed, is because the Islanders are also vexed. The Islanders themselves show you exactly what they think about the situation with Danny and Yewande. But when the men go and confront Danny, shows you that what Danny did was completely different to what Tommy did, or what even the Josh and the Cassis did in the past. What Danny did was take a girl who was saying that her defense was high, don't come after me unless you're serious, you know what I'm saying, etc, etc. The guys lied not only to Yewande, but to everybody else in the villa. So what's happened is, they've turned their back against Danny, because he's intentionally done what he's done. He's lied to everybody in that villa.
One up is the fact that he's lied to everyone.
What happened on the date then?
He obviously said there was no flirting. There was definitely flirting.
It looks like Yewande's opened up to everybody.
And she's
then basically
finally opened
you
up.
just told her lies. That's how it looks.
Proper dickheady. Like, proper. What that means.
Arabella, how do you feel after tonight?
I think for me it makes me feel like upset, because the fact that I've made someone else feel like shit.
You've done her a favour, because if you didn't come in, she would have wasted more time.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so therefore what's happened is, well, naturally, we're going to go to Yewande at the end when Yewande's been voted out by Danny. So, if you've watched my previous videos, I told you that Danny had no feelings towards Yewande at all. And they always choose these guys who don't like dark-skinned women. I've just got to be honest with you. They choose, especially the black males that they choose anyway, don't like black women. And I have to be honest as well, I already said about Yewande as well, I'm being fair. Yewande said she likes Harry Styles kind of guys. And to be honest, she didn't even like Michael. To be honest, I have to also be honest as well about Yewande too. So I can't make it one way. But the truth of the matter is, I have to open up that platform and say those kind of things. So for me, when I look at the Yewande situation, you know, the way she even dealt with Danny, I mean, the decorum, okay? The decorum, the classiness, how should we say, the honorableness of the way she dealt with the situation. For Fiat 500 Twitter and Alexandra Kane to open up their mouth to even try and say, I'm very sorry, and to try and say that this girl was being bitter, and that she, do you know what, it vexes me, because it's exactly what I mean about when they perpetrate what black people are like. You see, when I get angry and when a white person gets angry, I'm the one that's animalistic, but he's entitled to be angry. And so Yewande's situation, being lied to, manipulated by not only Danny, but also Arabella. Now, one thing I don't agree with Black Twitter, what we did was, obviously we changed their name. I don't think that's correct, because if it was white people doing it to Yewande, we didn't have it. So I didn't join in that thing. I'm not about that life. But what I would say is this. Arabella and Danny work for both ASOS. I've done photo shoots for ASOS. Arabella is the ex of Charlie, who's good friends with Danny. And you're freaking telling me Danny doesn't know Arabella from before? You lie. I told you they set up Yewande. This whole thing, when I didn't have proof at the time, but now we have the proof that they both work for ASOS. She's the ex of Charlie, left Charlie, came into the villa. Danny's said that they got a connection. Listen, anybody watching that show, what connection do they have? What conversation can anybody pinpoint to say that they had a conversation that was outside of Yewande? What was shown? No bloody connection. But the narrative was put out there by the Love Island producers. They are to blame with this as well. I wanted them to get away with that. So I look at it from that situation, I started realizing, wow, okay, so you've got two people who pretend as if they don't know each other, coming in. He's obviously latched onto Yewande, knowing that she was a weak link. And then Arabella goes after Danny, knowing what they know. And then obviously the recoupling up. And then they put hashtag by Felicia. Why did you do that, Love Island? Why did you choose by Felicia on that point? There was no need. You see, I always thought, listen, people are not stupid. And people are not naive. They intentionally do things and they don't even realize they're intentionally probably doing it. I couldn't even say that. Say that again. They intentionally know what they're doing. It's what we call subtle racism. In UK, we don't do overt racism. We do subtle racism, which is that we when we don't like black people, we don't overtly tell them. We subtly do it. I remember a situation where someone's saying that your name is too difficult to pronounce, so change it. Subtle racism. It's not overt. It's subtle. And so what I started to realize is that, you know, Arabella came in, latched onto Danny, talked about a connection which I never saw. Nobody ever saw the connection. She's buff, don't get it twisted. I don't expect. I'm not even complaining the fact that his head turned. I'm not complaining about that. What I'm saying is the fact that he should expect a certain vibranium coming back to him when he's treated her the way that he's treated Yewande. And then tried to play it off like he didn't know what he was going to choose. You knew what he was going to choose. Don't pretend, Danny. You knew what you were going to choose. And so that, for me, is the most frustrating thing out of everything. To see all of that happening. So, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I don't know what... It's a difficult one. So, yeah, that's the maddest thing. And I think that, for me, is where I get frustrated and I get annoyed and... Yeah, it's tough. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I want to leave it at that because I want to do a separate video for the ex-Islanders thing. And I will revisit something like this. But, yeah, I mean, to be honest, Danny, good luck. Do your thing. Do you get me? I'm not going to beef you. Do your thing. It is what it is. Appreciate you. Yeah, love.